I'm Seiko Varner, the Economic Advancement Chair for the 200 Plus Men. But my great co-host, Mr. Philip Jones, will help us through this agenda. We're really glad that everyone was able to come participate today. There's a lot of great opportunity for us to benefit, and these ladies have the great information. So, Philip, what do we have next?
Sounds good, Seiko. Thank you for the introduction. Well, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Philip Jones. I'm excited to be one of the co-moderators here today. So, after Seiko gave that warm intro, it's now time to do the introduction of the speakers, followed by their presentations, and then we'll have a few minutes for questions and answers, and then followed by the closing remarks. So for the presentations, I felt that it'd be good for these individuals to introduce themselves. So we'll start with Yvonne Allmond, who is the Executive Vice President and Community Financial Engagement Officer. And then we'll let Denise Counts go after that. And she is a Senior VP and Diversity and Inclusion Officer at Towne Bank. So Yvonne, ma'am, if you want to introduce yourself, give us a quick background, then we'll turn it over to Denise, and then we'll let both of you do your presentations.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, everyone. As you said, I'm Yvonne Allmond. I'm an Executive Vice President with Towne Bank, and I'm the Community Financial Engagement Officer. For 15 years at Towne, I was a private banker, and for at least 30 years, I've been a lender, both commercial and consumer lender in banking at various banks. So I currently sit on several boards within the city, within Hampton Roads, actually about 12. But so I'm very, very busy. So this is the type of thing that I do with my new job. I've taken this position as Community Financial Engagement Officer probably for about a year. This is something I have been doing on the side for years, educating the community on financial interests, financial literacy, how to develop a relationship with the bank, how to finance your business. So they asked me to do that full time for the bank. So here I am, and this is just part of what I do. So I'm glad to be here.
Good morning, my name is Denise Counts, and I am like Mr. Jones said, I am the Diversity and Inclusion Officer over at Towne Bank. I too have had much lending throughout the bank in various capacities. I was most recently commercial lender, branch manager, so I'm very involved within the community, and looking forward to share with you some of the resources that the SBA has provided for our small businesses to help us get through this pandemic. And hopefully Yvonne and I can share with you ways that you can take advantage, if you have not already done so, of the second draw of the PPP funds that are available. So glad to be with you this morning.
And how much time do we have?
Yes, ma'am. So we scheduled this time from about 10 a.m. until 11 a.m. And so I'm not sure how long your individual presentations are, but I think it would be wise to probably have a hard stop around 10:40, 10:45, and then we can do some questions and answers.
That would be fine.
Okay.
And you can also put some questions in the chat. I usually find that, questions come along as you're talking. So we should probably address those and then maybe even change the direction of the conversation if it's not going to what people are interested in. So please feel free to do that.
Sounds good. And what I'll do is I'll spotlight each one of you as you're talking, and then if anything comes in the chat, I can DM you, or I can send it to you as well. Or I can just, if you don't answer it, I'll just hold on that question until the conclusion of the questions and answers.
Okay.
Sounds good. Perfect. Well, on behalf of the 200 Plus Committee, I just thank you so much for joining us today. I know it's a pretty busy Saturday, but thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedules. Ms. Allmond, do you want to go first and give your presentation?
Yes, and it's just pretty much talking. This document that you have up, and I hope everyone can see it, is what the American Bankers Association, which is, they kind of provide lobbying and all kinds of information for the banking industry. And they provided just a snapshot of the whole 5,600-page package as it pertains to the PPP program. And PPP, as most of you know, stands for Payroll Protection Program. So when we get questions from people, why do they need the payroll information? It's because it is the Payroll Protection Program. So this all, we're just going to provide you with some basic information. We're not going to read this all the way through. When the first draw of the PPP program started, I guess that was in April, everyone complained, the small businesses, the minority businesses, women-owned businesses, none of these were getting access. And that's because we have found that a lot of that was because a lot of them didn't have their information in order or actually have a relationship with a bank. When the information came out, which was probably at 3 o'clock on a Friday afternoon before the portal opened up on a Monday, Towne Bank got all their information, and people who we had a relationship with, we immediately sent out an email to all of them with the correct application, which had been changed several times during the week, to get their information together over the weekend. So at 9 o'clock on that Monday morning, we would be ready to hit the portal and process their information. A lot of people had their information, a lot of people didn't, and scrambled over the weekend. The big companies had their information, and by 9 o'clock when the portal opened on Monday morning, in New York City alone, 12,000 firms had already input their information. And here, even at Towne, by 9 o'clock that Monday morning, 500 of our members had their information ready to go. So we usually do maybe $1 billion in loans a year. We are not a large bank, we're an $11 billion bank, but we did $1 billion worth of loans in the PPP first round in 8 days. And we usually do $1 billion in a year. And so that money was gone in about 8 days. The second round came around, and that was a little bit less money, but it was through, I guess, June 6th maybe, and Denise can back me up on that, or actually it's close. And a lot of people who did not qualify the first time, we knew there was going to be another round. So we had them get their information together. Please get your information together. And we helped them get, with what they needed. They still didn't make the deadline, and that money was gone. And another round of information came, another round of financing came, and that ended actually on August 8th. I had one person to go through from the very first one all the way through August 8th. And on August 9th, at the end of the day, he submitted his information, which was too late. And a lot of small businesses did that. A lot of small businesses are functioning without having their organizational documents in order, current information on their payroll, especially for this program, because it is a payroll protection program. So they just did not have the information together, and they're functioning, maybe paying taxes, maybe doing business, taking in money, but not really having all the organizational documents in place. And you don't have to go to a major law firm like Crawford and Knowles to have this done. You can go to your accountant, your bookkeeper, and get some information together on your organizational structure. And you all can interrupt me at any time with any questions. So anyway, here we are again as of December 2020. We have another round of funding. We actually had 284.6 billion, and some of the criteria changed this time. And Denise actually has a PowerPoint that would probably be good to put in at this point. It actually shows what you need, starting at the very beginning, to get your things in order. Let's see. And she can start going over that, and we can piggyback off of each other. Yes, the checklist. And this is for this round. And actually the large hedge funds that got in earlier and got all the money in the first round early on, they actually don't meet the qualifications for this round. It really is specifically targeting the smaller businesses. This money has been available, I guess, for about a week. And there's still money left. There's still lots of money left. So Denise can go from here.
Okay, we thought it was very important just to sort of give an overall checklist on what's needed when contemplating or trying to decide whether or not you are going to move forward with a PPP loan. I do have a sample of the application on here that I'll show you all, but first, of course, download and complete the application. Please make sure that you have the most current version, which would be dated at the bottom, 121. Of course, you include all of this information on the application, but I'm going to show you because I remember at the first one, lots of times an application was declined simply because some of the answers on the application whether we just went through it really, really fast and didn't pay attention to yes or no. But it says, right here, if you answer yes to questions 1, 2, 5, and 6, you do not qualify for PPP. And so after we go through this checklist, I'll show you the application so that you can see specifically what these questions are. When you begin the PPP application, you need proof of payroll or net income. And this is the document types required for the PPP application depend on the type of company you have. So are you independent contractor, sole proprietor, with or without employees? These are the documentations that would be needed. While your specific lender may request this, they may also, depending on who you bank with, may request additional documentation. It depends on their package that they have prepared. But here are the generally most required business documents that are requested. So you see here for independent contractors, sole proprietors, self-employed without employees, 2019 or 2020 IRS Form 1040 Schedule C. It's very important to know that if you are using 2020 to calculate the loan amount but haven't filed your taxes, please don't let that deter you. Provide a draft form. That's acceptable. For sole proprietors, self-employed with employees, payroll, health insurance, retirement benefits for employees for 2019 or 2020 IRS Schedule 1040C again. And also Form 940 or for quarterly Form 941s. For corporations and LLCs that file as corporations, for owners' income, a 2019 or 2020 IRS Form Schedule C again. Again, don't let it deter you. If you have not filed 2020, you may provide a draft. And then Form 940 or 4 quarterly Form 941s. For partnerships and LLCs that file as partnerships, you would need 2019 or 2020 IRS Form 940 or 4 quarterly Form 941s, or the 1065 tax return to include the K-1s to substantiate health insurance or retirement benefits to employees and self-employment earnings for partners. For nonprofits, you need the 2020 or 2019 IRS 940 or 4 quarterly 941s, or Form 990 showing health insurance and our retirement plans benefits to employees. You need an unexpired government issued ID for all owners who have 20% ownership and above. This was another challenge that we had during the first. If someone had, 20, they sometimes would question why they needed to provide, they might not have been signing, but all owners, 20% or that have 20% ownership have to provide their government issued ID. Also in this second draw, you have to show that you had a 25% revenue reduction. And to do that, you need your 2019 or 2020 tax forms, 2019 or 2020 quarterly income statements for the same quarters for 20, they need to see where that loss is from. So if you're applying for the second round, I think as challenging and as disruptive as 2020 is, that 25% revenue loss is there, real easy. Basic information which Yvonne spoke to about your business and how to contact you. This includes your phone number, email address, and EIN number. Basic information also includes the company's organizational documents, such as your articles of organization or incorporation, and definitely the date your business was established. Remember, again, as Yvonne spoke to, the intent of this PPP loan is to keep employees in their jobs and or to cover actual business operational expenses. Really quick, I'm going to go ahead and share with you the application so that you can just take a look at that for the questions. So here is the PPP application, and notice again at the bottom, it's got the date 1/21. Please make sure if you do, if you go to a financial institution, they will have the most up-to-date application, but please make sure that that date is up to date. That's very important. But these questions here, I think are a lot of times something that we skim through because we just look, skim over it. So please make certain that you answer yes or no correctly, because we have seen this really hold up the SBA PPP process by simply checking yes to question number one, because it's not, we sort of just skim over it. Or if here, or if you don't initial, like question 4 says initial here to confirm your response. We've had it, the SBA application be declined because an initial was not present. So the applications have to be thoroughly completed. Any questions? Or am I speaking too fast? Okay.
The one thing about this application at the very top, a lot of people don't know what kind of organization they have, and it isn't, we can work through that, but you're doing business as, your tax ID number, all of that has to agree with each other in order to process it. Some people have been using your personal tax ID number, your own social security number, and yet there is a business social security tax ID number. So you really need to make sure that you know that information about your business. You'd be surprised how many don't know that information about their business. And
we had a couple of questions in the chat.
Application you'll ever see, ever.
We had a couple of questions in the chat. Keep asking those questions. We'll make sure that they're all covered. So Ms. Counts, if you want to continue, we'll make sure that we go back and double back on those questions.
No, how about we go ahead and answer them now since we're here? That way we can address them, because I think pretty much as far as our presentation, we really wanted to press on the documentations needed and the intent of the PPP. So we can go ahead and just dive into questions now. If you, Yvonne, do you feel that's okay?
Some of them have been answered, which is good, but we should go through them anyway to make sure that everybody has seen the question and the
okay.
Answer. One of them was they're curious about their qualifying requirements and would they have access to this PPP checklist that you had. So this is your PowerPoint, so you can probably provide this at the end of everything, and they can
absolutely
take a copy of it. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yep, absolutely. I'll send it to Mr. Gray if that's okay.
Yep, that's fine, and we'll make sure it gets distributed.
Okay.
And let's see, there's another one coming through. I can't see it. From Ulysses Turner.
Hey, Mr. Turner.
Right. Finish your question, Mr. Turner.
He can chat, or either he can even speak up.
All right, Mr. Turner, if you want, we can unmute you. Let's see. All right, well, when we get the full question, I'm sure we can answer it.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Good. Yvonne and Denise, I understand that the requirements for this round may not be quite as stringent as the requirement for the first round. And that's primarily because the government really want to reach the small business, I might call the mom and pop business, because they recognize you may not have all that information and data. So they're reaching out and trying to make it easier for us this time. Is that true?
It still does require those basics because it is the payroll protection program. So you do have to have that information related to the payroll and the organizational documents. Some of the things that may not be required that will kind of push out some of the larger corporations is, I think if they're publicly traded or something like that, they do not qualify for this. It's actually, the bar is very high for that. And for if you have restaurants or eating establishments, instead of the formula requiring 2.5 times the monthly payroll, they've actually increased that to 3.5 times for restaurants and food establishments, which is really pretty good.
And I think the rollout, wouldn't you agree, Yvonne, on how they purposefully had institutions 1 billion and above be able to have access to these funds at a much later date. So they try to open it up earlier for the smaller businesses, hoping that they would have access to these funds first before they open the portal to the larger financial institutions.
And they also allowed more funding and cooperation with CDFIs, which are the community development financial institutions. And one that we have here is LISC, the Local Initiative Support Corporation. That's out of New York, but they do have a local office now. So if you don't have a relationship with a bank, you can go to LISC or one of these CDFIs or somebody like Hampton Roads Ventures maybe, and they have a pot of money that you can actually, their requirements are a little bit different. Whereas at the bank, you have to be one of their customers. And even if you do not have a relationship with the bank now, in order for them to process you, you have to establish that relationship. So they would have to open up your account with all of the required information before they would even be able to offer to process your application. But there's still a chance to do that because they're trying to get relationships. So if you come into, for instance, Towne Bank, you don't have a relationship with Towne Bank, you really have to establish one before they will process your application, and all of the banks are requiring that. That has been a little bit of a hiccup with some people. You really, no matter where you are in your business model, whether you're just opening the door, whether you have an Avon group or what, you really do need to have a relationship with a financial institution and know someone at that financial institution. It is really important to be able to have someone that you can call to get things done, rather than just walking in the door and they've never seen you. Most people have direct deposit, so they really don't have any reason to go into the bank. They have online banking, but every once in a while, especially if you have a business, you need to go into the bank, make sure that they know who you are, that you bank there, that you've been banking there for years, so that when you need something, they will be there to help you. It is really important to do that.
Yvonne.
Yes.
Didn't Towne Bank open up access to non-clients in the latter part of the process the last time?
Not without an account. They still had to open up an account.
Yes, what I'm saying, prior to them having an account, if they walked in or even had an appointment, Towne would process them if they agreed to open up an account. Is that true?
No, they had to open up the account. They talked to them about opening up the account because they had to have an account number in order to get the funds, because we were not going to distribute the funds to another financial institution.
Yeah, so that's I thought I understood that non-clients could come in and apply if they agreed to open up an account and it could be processed.
Yes, I don't know of any that were processed without opening up an account, even that day. It didn't have to be opened up well ahead of time. It could be opened up that day. Mm-hmm. And some of them, and I think I know what you're talking about. I had some of the professional clients who I used to have over at another bank. They came over, referred them to a manager. They put their information too, but we had to open up an account at the same time for them. So there wasn't, nothing was processed without them having an account opened at the bank at one time.
And that, I agree with you. That's what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. That you should encourage these small businesses to come in anyway and open up an account and apply for the loan to be processed. Would you recommend that?
If I could jump in, I think even when Yvonne speaks to, it's not just opening an account, it's establishing a relationship. So yes, we do welcome, if you do not or have not considered opening an account at Towne Bank, to come in and meet the bankers and make sure that our financial institution is where you want to establish a relationship. And what establishing a relationship does is opens that dialogue for what you need, for us to really walk you through organizational documents, tax ID numbers, the quality of financial reports that you have, so yes, we did welcome towards after the first PPP had been rolled out, we did open, our lenders did encourage people who did not have relationships with us to come in and establish a relationship. And then we went through the process of helping them apply for the Paycheck Protection Act. And I think this time, Yvonne and I seen something on Facebook where, you know, again, if you do not have a relationship with an institution at this moment, please come into Towne Bank, talk to a lender, establish a relationship, and we can talk to you about the PPP second draw.
You can come in and talk to the branch managers because they are also authorized to process these. So you don't necessarily have to have a commercial lender. The branch managers have processed tons of these already.
Yep.
So we're saying, whether they have an account or relationship, they're not come in anyway and apply, right?
Yes, definitely come in and have the conversation, and they want to apply, then we will take the application, but they will also be opening up an account at the same time.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And then they'll have someone to talk to for not just for this, for managing and making sure that they have their information in order going forward.
Yeah.
And a lot of these loans, like for the first round, they're in the forgiveness process now. We're really having to literally shake people to apply to get their loans forgiven.
Mm-hmm.
And they really need to try to get them forgiven. Even if you don't get it forgiven, it's still a 5-year loan at 1%, which really doesn't exist outside of this program.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Great. We have a question from the Carters that's in the chat. Maybe we can go to that question.
okay. Well, I don't work in any of the locations anymore. Unfortunately, I had to divest myself of my entire portfolio. They wanted me to do it in a week. It took actually a year. I just could not let them go. And people still contact me, but I no longer carry a portfolio, but anyone can call me anytime and I can refer them to people that I think would probably work well with them. And then I also answer any question that they may have. I'm very protective of my people. And I'm sure Denise feels the same way. They dragged her away from hers too.
And if you reach out to either Yvonne or myself, we can definitely, we're relationship driven, so we can definitely connect you with a lender where you are near and make an introduction. So you don't go in there just by yourself and saying, hey, I participated in the session. We are definitely, give us a call and we can introduce you to the branch or lender or a person that you are near.
And she's absolutely right, because as we said earlier, relationships make all the difference in the world. And we have been in the system and banking long enough to see where, people who have some relationship, get all kinds of things that everybody else does not get. And people like Denise and I made sure that everybody in the community had the opportunity to get those, the benefits of having a relationship with someone at a bank. I think we have another couple of questions in there.
Yeah. How can the localities help?
In what would I know that some of the CDFIs, the community development financial institutions, partner with financial institutions like LISC partners with banks, and banks have offered LISC maybe a $25 million line of credit to provide the funds to lend through this partnership. And those are usually big banks like Bank of America, maybe Truist, and probably not a local bank. But that's how they get money to participate, because I don't think they have their own money, and you can't develop a relationship such as you would with a financial institution at those entities. But they do partner with people who have access to money.
And maybe, I guess, just sort of, I would think being able to help them with the package, knowing the checklist and what's needed to be prepared, to be ready to, put in for a paycheck protection loan. So really getting that information out and helping them navigate the process, because it seems like a lot, but it's not. So really drilling down to what's exactly needed, I think is something that maybe we can partner with.
And this attachment that we had, that the ABA put out, it's only 6 or 7 pages, but it really gives a lot of information so that one of the partners could really assist people walking through the door. It has all kinds of information. You do not have to go through the entire, 5,600 page document. And people will probably come into the partners like the Hampton Roads Economic Development Corporation and ask about the EIDL loan, which a lot of people hear with the PPP loan, and that's the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program with the Small Business Administration. When you apply, some people, instead of applying at the bank, they apply with the Small Business Administration. And this is usually the portal that they go to for the EIDL loan. And they have, I think it's $20 billion set aside to lend. So if you do not have a financial institution, you could go through that, but that's not a forgivable loan. They do offer you the option to pick, if you don't qualify, would you like a $10,000 grant? So always pick yes, because grants do not have to be repaid. Earlier this year, when somebody had a $10,000 grant, plus they qualify for the PPP loan, during the forgiveness process initially, they actually deducted your grant from that. So then you had to still pay back the $10,000. They have rescinded that, gone back and refunded those to people who they took the $10,000 from. And now, even if you get the $10,000, that's in addition to the loan that you get. But if you go through the SBA portal and get the EID loan, that is actually a loan that does not qualify for forgiveness. So you want to do the PPP loan with a financial institution first.
Yvonne, can you, Mr. Varner sort of had a look when you said that there was sort of a reversal in that EIDL loan.
Mm-hmm.
What are we doing in the event PPP was forgiven,
Mm-hmm.
EIDL loan was subtracted? How are we reversing that? Are we I know it's bank by bank on how we're handling that, but
we're refunding that money back to them.
Mm-hmm.
So we're giving it back to them. And everybody knows we have all kinds of reports. We have a report for everything. And we have reports that show who had the $10,000 deducted, and we go back and reverse that. So that's what we're doing. Other banks probably have the same thing. We have worked at other banks, and they report tremendously out the wazoo, as we used to say.
So maybe you can, if that happened to you, connect with your bank and just say it was brought to your attention that there was some type of change
Mm-hmm.
in this second round. What's going to happen with that money they took out of they subtracted from your forgiveness amount?
Right, and that was from the first round of money that they took the $10,000 out when they were as they're processing the forgiveness. And you can still process the forgiveness. It was a little bit more complicated in the first round to do the forgiveness, to apply for the forgiveness. But this time with this round, there's a 1-page simplified process for loans that are under $150,000. And that's the bulk of these loans that are under $150,000. So look at that. I have a lot of people that I know, small businesses, and I continuously ask them, have you applied for this? And they automatically say, no, I don't think I qualify. And we need to get away from that mentality. Those hedge funds did not hesitate to apply for these. And they have all the money in the world. I mean, the person that is the receptionist makes 6 figures. Everybody makes a lot of money up there, yet they qualify. They applied and they got the money. So the worst that can happen is they say no. If your loan isn't forgiven, the worst that can happen is you have a 5-year loan at 1%, which is not bad, because if you come to the bank, you're not going to get a 1% loan.
Not at all. Not at all. No. Can we give a couple of scenarios so the rubber can really meet the road for some of us? So let's say we're a real estate agent, and due to the pandemic, we just weren't able to move as many properties. And we normally did our taxes. So we have our 2018, our 2019 taxes that have been filed. How can I advantageously pursue this?
I would go to the application and the checklist and see if you have everything that would qualify you. Because if you don't, they'll kick it out. But try it. If you are self-employed as a real estate agent, If you work for somebody else and you're the employee, then probably not.
Right.
But if you are the employer or you are self-employed as it addresses, you might want to just give it a try, because the worst that can happen is they'll kick it out and say that you do not qualify.
And remember, on the top of that application, if you're right here, independent contractor, or like Yvonne said, sole proprietor without employees, this is the documentation that you start with, and that, you put independent contractor, or however your organizational docs have you listed, sole proprietor, and then you can begin that process.
Yes. And for Towne Bank, we didn't, if you missed something, we didn't automatically kick it out or wait till the end. I know some other institutions, you got no response at all, and then at the end they said the money's gone. Mm-hmm. But we actually get it started. If we see that you're just missing something that's minor, we get it started so you don't lose your place in the portal. You're in line for your money or to be approved. So we will call you and say, get me this, get me that. And the last time we were even in on Sunday, I had people running into their offices on Sunday, scanning and faxing me information so that we could get that done. We had 2 shifts working. People were working at a 3 o'clock in the morning shift. So we were making sure that everybody got that information so that we could get the money before the money was gone, get the money to you before it was gone. And a lot of people don't realize that. Most of our locations close up about 6.
Wow.
800 numbers, everything, 6 o'clock. But they had shifts. I mean, they were pulling in everybody to do this, to make sure that they were processed. And we all came in on the weekend. Like I said, I don't do this anymore, but my people called me, so I was there on the weekend. And some of the information, if I had it, I would send it over, or get them to send it to me, and then I would send it over. And so we worked really hard to make sure that our people got their money through.
Thank you. Kudos to you. The Carters have a great question. There are legal aid societies that help people navigate the legal and criminal justice system. Has anything similar emerged in this PPP world?
I'm not really sure what they mean.
Is it just sort of information, or is it help, or?
Okay. Great.
Help with the application, or what?
We'll let them question. Go ahead, Carters.
Okay. So the question is, you guys are Towne Bank specific. You are doing a great service to us because we're a broad-based organization. But for people who are not Towne Bank customers, you can reach out and help them individually. And so I was thinking, if there's a legal aid society to help people who have legal problems, certainly there would be an agency somewhere that will help people do this application right and not get kicked out on a technicality. Have you heard anybody doing that at all?
The CDFIs, maybe, like LISC, the local initiative support, the Hampton Roads Ventures, and maybe even the SBA. The SBA is a little overwhelmed, but they could help you walk them through the application. And we do that. We have been doing that for some of our members. Towne Bank calls our customers members. We've been doing that for some of our customers if they come in, or when we actually approach them. And most of us know our own portfolios. So we actually reached out to all of the businesses that we had loans with, and people who just had a relationship, but as long as they were coded as a business, we actually reached out to them if they were coded to us.
Well, it sounds like we as an
help them through it, but I don't know of an agency other than the SBA or these community financial institutions that are helping.
And I, on to sort of jump in where Yvonne is, I think that would be something possibly great that we could establish. But again, that's, I think, a very important reason to have relationships with your bank, because as much as I love Towne Bank because of what we do, I also sit on another board where we bank with O Point. And O Point, they weren't as helpful because I'm biased. But they helped our nonprofit organization navigate through the process. And our banker at O Point reached out to us and said, this is what you are. So I was very pleased that they did that. But again, that just sort of supports what Yvonne says. if you have most businesses, if you have a business, you have to have a bank account someplace. So it's very important to get to know a banker, because if you had that relationship with your banker where your business account, rightfully so, is established, you would have somebody to reach out to help you navigate you through this. On top of, possibly other organizations that would be able to help you with this.
Great answer. Great answer.
And can
Go
I
ahead,
support
ma'am.
that? Prior to doing what I do now, I spent 26 years in banking, part of it being lending. And if you'd establish a relationship with a banker before you need something, when you walk in, they already know who you are, know more about you than you think they do. And it's so much easier. And as far as walking through an application like this, the bank would be happy to do that. So it all comes down to establishing that relationship before you actually need them. Go in, if not, just open up the account. It doesn't, like, we're Towne Bank here. I'm part of Towne Bank's family too. But if you don't bank with Towne Bank, whoever you bank with, establish a relationship there so that when you do need them, you're not a stranger.
Frank, how are you?
I'm fine, Yvonne.
One of the situations I had, the woman who owns the cleaning company that cleaned our offices in my last building, she came to me because I'm always there late. So she came in with her paperwork, and she banks at Bank of America. And she said, they're sending me this and I don't understand it. So I sat down with her and I asked her who was doing her input. She said her daughter was. We got her daughter on the phone right then and there. We went through the application. We made the corrections. We had the daughter pull what they needed and sent it through, and she got her loan from Bank of America. So, but she was reluctant to go over there to them, but we were able to help her with that after hours.
Great service. Now, I've also noticed that PayPal has been able to work with some of this, the EDIL or the PPL, because I'm a PayPal user and I get notices, hey, we can help you with your PPL loan. But that's a different type of situation. So I know that a lot of our newer businesses who might just Cash App or might just PayPal, and you don't necessarily have to have a bank associated with that. How do they navigate that? Now, PayPal will provide service, but I guess, like you said earlier, would this be the best time to come in and set up account with Towne Bank or another bank?
Yeah, I would absolutely do this. And the reason that we put the money only in our account, before you get the money, you have to sign, once you've been approved, you have a series of loan documents that have to be signed. And these are Towne Bank loan documents. And then once you sign the loan documents, then the money is transferred into your account. So that's why each institution would have their own specific loan documents. And it says in there that you owe Towne Bank, blah, blah, blah. Yes, on those documents.
Because now remember, this is an SB. The SBA is guaranteeing the funds. The money is actually from that financial institution. It's funds designated from that institution. So the SBA is guaranteeing the loan, but the funds are from the bank, from that financial institution.
And that's why we're making sure that every I is dotted and every T is crossed, because the SBA is known, if that I isn't dotted or that T isn't crossed, then they're not helping you at all. And then it's up to you to try to get the money back. And in some instances, you may not be able to do that. So there's a lot of risk for the bank to participate in the program.
We have a great question from Katie. Would we need additional assistance from our bankers if our accountants are walking us through the process?
Probably not, because we've sent some people to their accountants to get the information, especially the 941s and payroll information, to help them with their Schedule C, because those are the types of things that we're not doing for them. They would have to come in with that completed. Does that help?
And we are actually we can assist with the application. Like if you've forgotten to check something, but as far as your financial information, that we cannot help with that, because if something comes back and if something is wrong, it's sort of not harmless. So the best person to get with would be your accountant. But I've had many instances where the banker and the accountant has partnered to ensure a complete package is
Yes.
received in the portal.
Any follow-up, Katie? You're unmuted.
Oh, I was gonna say that is very helpful. Thank you. And the last round of PPP, I was a new independent contractor. I'm sorry, hold on. Okay, good. They stopped barking. So I was a brand new independent contractor as of January 2020, and I now have ceased being an independent contractor and gone fully into business for myself under an LLC. But last round, I just really did not have any history to go on. And so speaking with my accountant, she's like, you're really not eligible for this. And even like the EIDL and other things are quite a stretch, but like pretty much we've got to assemble all your financial documents and do a little write-up and things like that. And so I guess I would be left feeling like if she told me no again on this round, like, could I just get a different answer from my banker?
Well, I would say, go for it. And in this round, there's a hold harmless clause, and that's to protect the bank. So they've got a little bit more protection. They take a little bit more of a chance. Plus, for this round, if a business is in bankruptcy, you're still entitled to receive a PPP loan. So everything's on the table. Just go for it. All they can do is say no.
Right. That's a good reminder.
All right, great question from the Carters again. Is eligibility dependent upon the credit rating of the business requesting the loan? Is it bank specific? And Imhotep, I'll unmute you so you can ask any follow-up.
The credit rating of the business, well, as I've said, like a business in bankruptcy is entitled to receive a loan. So the business has to be registered with the state. The registration has to be current. We run all the business names through the SEC, the State Corporation Council. If your business if you have not paid the $25 or sometimes $50 a year that's required to keep your business current, you're going to come up as not being current. So you really need to make sure that that's paid. They received a lot of money at the last minute, the state did, through the last round, because people were getting that $25 or $50 in to make sure that their business was listed as current.
So when you're applying for the SBA loan, there is no credit check or for individual or for the business. But like Yvonne said, it's very important that your SEC be up to date. Now, if you are establishing an account with a bank in order, the relationship of you and the business, you may have to discuss that. Say if you have challenges, or for some reason an account was closed, or if there's challenges at another bank prior to opening an account. Does that make sense? Then you may, the challenge may be opening the account in order to apply for the SBA loan. But if you have an existing account at a bank, which is still very important, then your credit rating, personal or individual, is not relevant in applying for the SBA loan.
Great.
None of you require a personal guarantee, which, like I said, this is going to be the easiest loan.
Yeah.
You do not have to provide your personal tax returns, any of that for this.
Beautiful, right. Beautiful. Mr. Carter, does that answer your question? Okay. We can't hear you. Mr. Gray, the president of the 200 Plus Men, had a question.
Yes, good morning. This has been very informative. I'm not a entrepreneur or business person, but still it's very helpful understanding that, so you can share with people that and send them in the right direction. I just want to mention that Erica Spencer, who is the minority business coordinator for Hampton in our city's economic development department. And Erica runs a number of seminars throughout the year, not as much now during COVID, but she had a pretty good run of those when we could meet in person. I think she may have done some virtually. But some of those were done to assist small businesses to get SWAM certified to be able to compete for state and local contracts. And a part of some of the work that she was doing, seminars that she was offering, had to do with how small businesses need to have relationships. I remember specifically sitting in one of those seminars and the presenter talking about the need for having a relationship with a financial institution. And then also, you know, when you look at the different documents that Yvonne and Denise have been talking about, you know, they were talking about how your payroll and those kinds of documents that are needed. So it sounds like to me a lot of these documents are things that businesses should already have in place, but perhaps you know, maybe struggle with having them in the proper order and so forth. And so I wonder how having seminars for small businesses that really strengthen, you know, their accounting procedures and financial relationships and those kinds of things, so they're, you know, not in a better position to compete for contracts and loans in the future should they come, even if they miss the opportunity for this one. So Erica, I didn't know if you want to have a chance or Seiko, if it would be okay if she just weighed in just a few minutes on what she was doing in helping small businesses be in a better position to apply for these types of loans.
I'd be interested because actually I'm doing that actually for the bank now as part of my job. So maybe Eric and I can team
Okay.
and do some jointly maybe.
And good morning. Thank you, Vice Mayor. Yes, just like the Vice Mayor was saying, we do these seminars because we run across a lot of businesses that are trying to catch up and do things after the fact. And so if there are any other suggestions that you all have for seminars, we have gone virtual and we have been working with a lot of other partners. We try to make it so that you have everything up front. So then when something like this comes about, you just have everything ready and you're ready to submit. And we know that a lot of the small businesses don't have the same resources as the large businesses that you all talked about in the beginning. And they have people on staff, the larger businesses, to just do all these things. And a lot of times we see the small businesses, they are every role, the HR person, they are the person answering the phone, they are the person going out in the field. So if you guys have any other suggestions, I'd love to hear them so that we can, you know, make sure that the small businesses are ready.
Well, I'd like to talk to you about that because since the pandemic, I've been doing all of mine virtually and literally have reached hundreds of people. Some churches have actually asked me to put together a series for them. And for one church, we did 4 weeks in a row and we actually had almost 300 people to attend those virtually. And we did them like at 4 o'clock on a Sunday afternoon, different topics, and even had a mortgage person come in to talk about the basics of getting a mortgage so that you will not be scammed. A lot of people who are even looking for a mortgage get scammed. One of my hairdressers one time was going out to this place on Greenwich Road and they were paying $1,200 each where somebody was going to show them how to complete a mortgage application. They weren't even qualified to process mortgages. That $1,200 could be a down payment on one of the VHDA mortgage programs. So we see
that a lot on the local side, people charging small businesses to apply for certifications. And so we try to reach those folks to let them know there are resources out there that provide those services for free or that can work with you. So I definitely would love to connect with you afterwards to try to get even a series on for Hampton because I know the businesses would be grateful and would love to attend. And you guys being the experts in those areas, we would love to partner with you.
I'd be happy to talk to you. That would be great.
Erica, I think that's a wonderful idea. I actually participated in North Carolina had a Black business forum. And what they did was just, I think it was, I don't know if it was a chamber or the economic development, but they just had different banks. They invited different banks to come in and invited different small businesses and had just a roundtable question and answer.
Those are my favorite ones because we try to tell people, you know, one bank may not be for you, but there's several options, but you just kind of have to interview your bank and know what's going to be best for you and your business. And I know there with one session we had, the Vice Mayor was at that one also. Businesses don't know should their employees be 1099 or W-2 on W-2s. And I saw that when the pandemic first hit, a lot of the small businesses were really struggling because of the choice that they made with that. So there's always, you know, they don't know what they don't know. And
Right.
so it's our job in economic development to make sure that they have the resources. So anything that can provide, you know, the information that they need to grow and make sure they have everything in place, I would love to work on.
Well, and I think Towne is fortunate in that Denise and I have a lending background. We have managed portfolios ourselves, and we know what the businesses need. So people in our positions usually don't have that type of background. So that's definitely a plus in dealing with that.
Great, great. Look, we've learned some great information, some great questions have come through, and we have just a few minutes left. So if we have any other great questions, we want to make sure you get those great answers. You know, the 200 plus men want to make sure that the community is well informed so we can take position and take opportunity with some of the opportunities that are forthcoming.
I do not have, it's not a question, I'm just gonna put it out there. I didn't have my business card, but I neglected to put Yvonne and I's information in this PowerPoint. But what I'll do is I'll include it with the checklist, and that I forward over to Mr. Gray, Vice Mayor Gray, and you will have it. And if, Erica, we would love to, you know, connect with you after this so we can see what we can do in the future.
Sounds
as
great.
far as information.
And Denise is on the Hampton side and I'm on the south side. So not that that matters when you're doing it virtually. But
And I think it would be good. We have an event coming up in March that we're actually partnering with the city of Norfolk on, so across the water. So I would love to talk to you guys about that because we're still working on the details.
Absolutely.
Okay. Perfect.
So this is Katie. I have a question that I hope would be quick. I got established at Langley Federal Credit Union, and I think they call them like personal bankers or something, but the woman that I worked with, I didn't get left with the feeling that she was fully competent. So in this effort to establish a relationship with my financial institution, would there be a way for, like, what would be the proper channel for me to address those concerns and perhaps find somebody that I felt more comfortable with?
Well, we're always arm wrestling with credit unions for some odd, but they're geared more towards the consumer instead of for businesses. And that's really their expertise. Langley is huge, and the Navy Federal Credit Union is huge. And they do dabble in commercial businesses, but you probably do need to establish a relationship with a bank, with a commercial bank.
Okay.
And it doesn't have to be like a Bank of America or Towne or any bank that is close to you that is a community bank, small banks, because usually people sitting in there will be happy to help you. You'll feel more comfortable, especially if you're getting started.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
But also to answer a question, if I may, if you are dealing with someone and there's no fit there, you need ask to deal with someone else. Go to a different branch, do whatever. You should not have to deal with someone that you feel is incompetent or that you just don't feel good about. There's no law that you have to deal with that person. Go to somewhere else.
Ask for, ask for the supervisor, the manager, and this is too important to deal with someone who is not definitely a senior lender.
It's not about the hurt feelings. It's about, this is a business decision.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
It's not like going to the
Thank you.
hairdresser in the seat next to you after. Thank you.
Yeah, your bank isn't going to tell everybody not to talk with you anymore. Hey, look, Exodus Logistics LLC asked some information would be sent to them. Exodus Logistics LLC, can you tell exactly what information you'd like emailed to you so we can make sure the right person does that? And also, we have a few more minutes. Mr. Williams, did you have a question that you wanted to pose or some advice or guidance you want to share?
This is Charles with Exodus Logistics LLC, dispatcher 101, freight broker 1. I'm in the transportation industry. I do online training. I teach people how to be independent dispatchers, work from home, be your own boss. I teach people how to be freight brokers, work from home, be your own boss. The information that I was asking for was the PDF, I think, unless I can go to the website and download it. but the PDF, the PPP checklist, and any other information that that you guys deem pertinent for startup businesses. I just started mine in August of last year, so I'm trying to see what are some of the qualifiers that I have available to me as far as the PPP loans and things like that. And I'm in the Norfolk Portsmouth area. So
you need a banker, because I had somebody in the transportation industry and he moved out of the area, but I was still his banker, and he managed his business, you know, from his kitchen table with at least 10 phones. You know, he's always talking.
Yeah, I'm literally sitting at my kitchen table now. So, and I got training at noon today. I got to train about 60 people at noon. So I jumped on this. So
well, I would
definitely be reaching out to you guys.
Yeah, you need a banker though to help, because otherwise he was not going to get anywhere. And we helped him a lot, and he still calls me, even though I'm not doing that anymore. He still calls me to make sure that the person that I transferred him to is telling him the right information.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow. You know what, Charles?
Yes.
How did you find out about today's webinar?
You text me. I got a text. A text.
Okay, yeah. Good.
Me.
Okay, so look, we also would love for you to consider joining the 200 plus men. So let's have a conversation offline, okay? Katie said she may be added to the email list for follow-up. Good. Oh, Katie, tell us about your business, Roots and Flourish.
Yeah, I just opened a massage business in downtown Hampton, Root and Flourish Massage. I took over from an existing practice. And so I just started in October, and it's been an interesting transition. There's been some location changing and things like that, but trying to get our feet under us. And I'm the only provider currently, and I'm renting a room from a local chiropractic physical therapy team. So yeah, I'm excited to be a part of the downtown Hampton business community. I've wanted to be a part of it for a long time, and I finally got my shot.
Well,
congratulations to you.
Banker. You definitely need a banker. One of my coworkers at another bank, who was the head of credit, left banking to run her own massage business. She went to massage therapy school, and she inherited a practice in Atlanta and moved down there.
Wow, that's incredible.
Katie, Mr. Williams? Oh, go ahead, Ms. Denise.
No. I was just tell Katie, she's downtown Hampton. I used to manage the Towne Bank at downtown Hampton. So please go visit the new manager, Laura. She'd love to talk to you if you're considering opening an account.
Okay, perfect. I'm pretty sure that I'm right in the same parking lot with them, and I just haven't yet had the headspace to make time to go over there.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, Seka, you asked me to say hello?
Yeah, just wanted to see if you had a question before we wrapped up. It's 11:05.
Yeah, 2 points. One, I want to thank Denise and Yvonne for coming on. And this is a dream we envisioned with having 200 plus men having an economic advancement committee. So hats off to Seiko and the crew. And my only question is, I understand that the PPP adjustment for venues has just come out. Could you expound on that a little bit?
I'm not sure what you mean.
And a PPP adjustment for venues.
Mm-hmm. That's for entertainment or locations that had either entertainment, restaurants, theaters, people in the arts, that didn't apply or didn't qualify on the first or second round. Mm-hmm. Apparently there's a targeted round now. And I guess the ancillary to that is that they've targeted this round to small businesses, basically less than I think less than 100 employees and even less in terms of dollars.
Yes, less than 300 actually. So
I'm sorry.
Less than 300.
Less than 300. Okay. So the question is, are you seeing more of those now? Is some of the things need to be prepared to come in for that dollar or not?
Well, I noticed on this application that was different from the first application. This asks for that Macy's code, and that's an acronym, and I couldn't tell you what it's for, but actually all businesses have a code. And so that entertainment would come through that Macy's code, and then that would let them know exactly what documents you had, you know what field of interest you are, what your business is. But I think the information would be provided for everybody. They're probably just adding businesses that they may not have included in the first round. But I haven't seen anything completely different for venues.
When you speak to the NACES code, Yvonne, it's that the maximum loan amount is 2.5 times the average monthly payroll based on 2019. Now for the NACES code, and this may be what Mr. Williams is speaking to, 72 businesses, that's accommodations for food services, you can receive 3.5 times average monthly payroll, capped at 2 million. So that is also in that information, the coronavirus response that we had initially started with. It's actually on page 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You got quiet. All right.
Okay. I think we've run the route. We've had some great connections, some great conversations, some great information. And the 200 plus men, thank you for participating.
And we'd like to thank Mr. Turner for the introduction.
Absolutely.
Putting all this to helping us get this all together.
Mr. Turner, thank you for having us reach out to Vice Mayor Gray, and thank you all for spending your Saturday morning with us.
I said, let's have you back again.
Absolutely, yeah. Let's do this again. I'm sure there are other topics in the financial area that we can, would be beneficial to, our members, businesses in the community, et cetera. So I see a number of opportunities where we can still partner in the future. So thanks for reaching out to us.
I can put together a series for you and do the PowerPoints, and anytime, the weekend, the evening, or whatever, and we can present them like an hour at a time. Most people can't stare at the screen more than an hour. So.
All right, great. Sounds like a great idea. Thanks, Yvonne. Thanks, Denise.
Miss Yvonne, can I contact you personally, please?
Yes. Did Denise?
Yep, the contact information was in the chat box.
Yeah, the Yvonne.Allmond@townbank.net.
Exactly.
Okay.
Shameless plug. I'm one of their clients, so they'll treat you right and give you free coffee.
Used to be cookies too, as well, before the pandemic.
Denise, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Good. Ulysses Turner here. Yvonne, Denise, I really thank you for coming on this morning. To the rest of the group, I'm a board member at Towne Bank, and after reading and recognizing that we, our small business, did not get their fair share, I went to visit 2 of them, and they reached out to you and agreed to come on this morning, and they've done a fantastic job. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Well, everyone else, thank you. Have a great Saturday, and look for more information from the 200 plus men. We have a lot more activities and opportunities like this because a lot of more opportunities exist in the Hampton Roads area. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great weekend.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Hey, Jimmy, did you want to set up another chat?
Yeah, I thought we could just do it with this one after everybody logged off. That's all right. I will stand by. Let me just set up another one, and I'll shoot an invite out, and we'll just restart the next one.
Roger that.
Okay.